I read recently that dogs are studying us at all times and know what we're up to. And I've always found it unusual that the dog is the animal closest to mankind when we are so close genetically to chimpanzees, but yet they never become soulmates with us the way, I mean, there are some exceptions, but the way dogs do. I mean, it's such a symbiotic relationship, the human and the dog, and it goes back quite a bit.
First domesticated animal, the dog, and it was domesticated way before the Neolithic, probably in the Mesolithic or Paleolithic, so we're talking Old Stone Age. And there's a whole theory that we didn't domesticate the dog chose us.
Yes.
They live with us. They're a companionable animal, and any ancient culture has had them. It is quite interesting.
Well, I think, you know, they probably saw the way we lived and thought, oh, hey, you know what? That would be beneficial to me to be living with that.
Absolutely.
They're
animal.
Always bringing home food. They're fairly generous with it.
They must be great hunters,
They're
because every
loving.
time they come in the house, I've got something to eat, you know. Of course, I think that dogs probably like the scraps that they threw around campfires and were coming up closer and saying, hey, this is pretty good. I don't have to do the work.
Well, think of a dog, you know, the wolf in antiquity couldn't bring down a mastodon, but people did, and that's a lot of meat, and a lot of really yummy bones. And to go from there, they're also good because they let you know if somebody's coming around, or you know, an aggressive animal, you know, sloth, a cave bear or something.
But you know, it is symbiotic though, because we bring the food, and we bring the care, and we bring the attention, and my dog has brought a lot to me in terms of just qualities that we identify with humanism, living in the now, immediate forgiveness, not holding a grudge, pack unity. Every day Waldo wakes up and is happy, and having him in my life reminds me how good life is. And what the important things in life are.
Yes, I remember when I had Damon after a couple months, and he was sitting on my chest right in his chair, and I said, what is this strange feeling I have? I just couldn't figure it out. And then I realized that he had opened my heart, chakra, as they would say in India. But he opened me and made me not only more loving of him, but of people around me. You know, it used to annoy me so much when there would be a group of women with strollers going down the subway steps, and I was, oh, I want you to get out of my way like a true New Yorker. And suddenly I realized, my God, what a responsibility they have, because I know that my dachshund, you know, I'm always aware of where he is, you know, and how he can get into trouble if I'm not careful to watch him. So it just made me, I think, a little softer, a little more gracious to other people.
And I don't think that's distinct to dachshunds, but this dachshund in my life, you know, I'm conscious that he would give his life to save me or to help me, and he wakes up every morning filled with joy at the day, and his reasons for being happy are a lot closer to what I would like my reasons to be happy to be. So it's just kind of like a little dharma, like he's like a little guru. He sort of helps me stay on the beam.
Trudy, if people wanted to rescue a dachshund, how would they go about it?
Well, they could just drop me an email if they're in the New York area. My email address is salixbrooklyn, which is SALIXBROOKLYN @AOL.com. And I can put them in touch with whoever has a dog, or, you know, get their application, talk to them about what they want. If it's outside the New York area, the easiest thing is to go on the Dachshund Club of America's website, dachshund-dca.com. You can just Google Dachshund Club of America. Some commercial entity got dachshund.com.
And I interrupted you, but you were going to say something about love and dachshunds.
Oh, yeah, and I think dogs in general, it isn't just our fervent imaginations that they do good things for us, but it's been clearly documented that therapy dogs work with people, they lower blood pressure, they relax nervous tension. And there is a stimulation that occurs on a nonverbal level. It's just special. We don't quite understand it, but we can use it and be very grateful to it.
I've found when I've been in bed with a cold or the flu, my dachshund just jumps up in bed, is very solicitous, often will just lay his head gently on my shoulder and just sit there and watch, you know. It's almost like he's saying, "Are you all right?" You know, they're very attentive to that.
I found myself watching a really sad movie and starting to cry and having Waldo jump up to sort of like cheer me up.
Yeah. My old Willow could not stand to have people cry. And I once got a letter from an older friend of mine on the West Coast, and she was telling me about her cancer diagnosis, and I began to cry, and suddenly he's jumping around and barking at me like, "No, don't do that, there's something wrong, what can I do?" He was all perturbed. And particularly they don't like raised voices.
No.
Yeah, he was the same one also who growled at a drunk who lurched down the street one evening at me, and he was a harmless drunk, but he went down to, "Oh, what a cute little doggy," and Willow went, "Arr."
Drag queens, people on crutches, anybody with like big hats, loud, obstreperous people.
Well,
drag queens.
Our dog, we used to bark at this man who wore, I called them moo-moos, although he told me they were caftans, big floral ones, and I think just that bright, he would bark at people in bright clothing.
Well, I think of them as head dogs. That is, you've got to think. You can't just have them as an attribute, you know. They're constantly thinking, and you've got to constantly outthink them. And this is a good dog for some people. It's not the dog for everybody. I mean, not everybody wants to constantly be trying to figure out how to manipulate them while they manipulate you.
Now, I'd also like to speak a little bit about the Dachshund Friendship Club. Maybe you could start out and tell us about how it started.
Well, like many institutions, it started as a joke. We had, when we first got Damon, our rescue animal, just like when you drive a Volkswagen, you notice how many Volkswagens there are in the city. We started seeing dachshunds around and being attracted to the dachshunds and the owners and talking about our dogs and all of the care and feeding issues. And the dachshunds seemed to enjoy the company of their own breed also. So kind of as a joke, we decided to do the Dachshund Octoberfest. So we made some posters and we wheat pasted them, and 50 people showed up the first year and 60 people the next year, and it's become a biannual event in Washington Square Park that brings between 400 and 600 people on a good day. It's really funny because there's no agenda, there's no march around the fountain, and the only discipline, the only tradition in the Oktoberfest is the annual singing of the Dachshund song, which is the Dachshund Friendship Club theme song.
And I would mention that Paul DeVries and Murray Weinstock wrote that song especially for us.
And it's a wonderful song. It is a manifesto for Dachshund.
It's a papa sort of tune, you know, like a German beer song.
There is no other dog like the Dachshund, walking so close to the ground.
They're stubborn and shy as a fox, and the happiest dog to be found.
Doxy, my Doxy, the best canine under the sun. Call him wiener or hot dog or sausage, we know